All right, Garrett Blevins here with Form Assessment Saturday number 4. Going to hop right into these. Trying to keep these videos a little bit shorter so people will actually be interested in watching all of them. So we got Brendan coming in here with video number 1. Got some squats. Looks like you're taking your time getting tight, a little bit maybe anxious about getting everything completely even there. Well, first thing I'm noticing is there's a big kind of spread between where your head position is and your elbows are. This position here is going to lead to some rounding in the upper back. I would like to see your head position more neutral and up. I think you're looking down to make sure your feet are evenly spaced, but I would like you to start using your head kind of to think about how that feels. And I would also like to see these elbows, I'm assuming they're going to come down a little bit once we get to the initiation of the rep. I would be surprised if that doesn't. Okay, a little bit of hip rise out of the bottom. Now, but you'll see here, on this breath that you're taking here, you've really rounded over. So I'm going to give you one recommendation, and it's to work on your setup. That's what I think is most important. I would like to see your head position up more, and I don't want to see you collapsing through your upper and mid back. I think part of the way that you can work on that is, one, just think about staying upright. But two, maybe you don't have your elbows kicked quite as far back and bring those forward a little bit, almost like you're trying to touch this elbow to this elbow as you retract your scapula and tighten up that upper back. Beyond that, your hips are rising just a little bit faster than the bar is, and some pause squats could be a good exercise choice to help with that, where you force yourself not to let your hips rise faster than the bar, so that out of the hole, the bar and your hips both move up at the same speed. Those are two things I would have you work on first. All right, so we got some deadlifts going on here. Neutral spine, shoulders are going to be just about over the bar if you kick back just a little bit further. Right there looks good. So the only thing I'd like to see is you getting just a little bit tighter before you initiate the rep. The second rep was much better. The first rep you got pulled forward a little bit, and that's because you hadn't pulled all the slack out of the bar yet and really started to establish some tension here in your shoulders by pulling up on the bar. So squeeze, get a little bit tighter on the first rep. The reps subsequent to this look really solid. One other thing that I'm noticing though, it looks like your hands are pretty close together. If this still allows you to get good kind of tightness and packing of the lats, that's fine. It's a little bit dark, and because of the angle, it's hard to tell exactly how far apart your hands are. But you may think about widening your grip at some point if you ever have issues pulling yourself in tight to the bar. But that's the main issues I see here. Again, I'll just let it run through this first rep. You'll see how as you pull back, you don't quite get enough tightness through your upper back, and you get pushed forward just a little bit, which leads to a little bit of disjointing in the rep. All right, that is it for our YouTube and Instagram videos. I'm going to throw this up here. Thank you for those of you in the comments who mentioned that I can tap anywhere on the video to make this disappear. However, a lot of times I want to scrub back and forth to point things out. So first thing that I would say here is your hips are kicked back pretty far. I would like to see you, as you're holding the weight and getting ready for the rep, for your hips to be a little bit more forward. You can break at the hips first if you want to initiate the rep, but you're kind of in a little bit of an awkward angle here. However, the bar does seem to be at this time right about over midfoot, so I think you're in an okay position. I would just like to see those hips in a little bit better position. Now, one thing that I'm noticing is that as you hit the hole, the weight is shifting forward. And even there in the descent, you're getting more forward in the reps. I think part of that is because if you've already kicked your hips back this far, all of the bend and the movement of the lift should be at your knee. So I think if you start with a more upright stance, that's going to allow you to keep this bar over midfoot instead of having that bar drift forward up towards your toes. You'll notice there's kind of a diagonal bar path, and now this bar is all the way out in front of your toes. So change your startup position again. This would be a little bit better start position. that is too far. The bar now has started to drift already. So I want your starting position to look a little bit more like this. This is what I would like your starting position. And then honestly, I think breaking at your hips and your knees simultaneously is going to lead to a better bar path instead of breaking at the hips first. Your depth is good. You're neutral. You got a good neutral spine. Your bracing seems to be on point. So that's the adjustment that I would make. All right. Next up is some bench, also with Elijah. At some point, I'm going to start doing only one video per person, but I didn't announce that when I first put this out. I should have thought about that. So I'm doing 2 here. One of the things that I noticed is when you unrack the bar, there seems to be some instability in your bench. So I want to make sure that you're squeezing your shoulder blades together, thinking about taking your shoulder blade and tucking it into your back pocket. And also, I want you to grip the bar really hard, like white knuckle it, because there's just some rotating through this rep that I would like not to see. As far as the reps themselves, your elbow is flaring, especially on that 3rd rep. It's pretty pronounced. Your elbow flares too quickly, and it actually kind of gets behind the bar. I really want this elbow to stay tucked a little bit more, and instead of having that elbow come down and then rock right back out quite so fast, I would like to see this bar probably another inch to 2 inches, maybe 1.5 inches, not 2 inches, but 1 inch to 1.5 inches higher before I would see your elbow in this position. So just don't let your elbow go from here to there quite as fast as it is. So watch the elbow flare. Strengthening your triceps and front delts can assist with having the muscular strength to maintain better form. I think some close grip work where you really focus on keeping your elbows tucked could be beneficial. All right. Next we've got Ryan here. Ryan is not doing block pulls. He's using plates that are a little short, he mentioned in his email. And so this is actually a normal size deadlift height. First thing I'm noticing is you're setting up with your torso too erect here. If you wanted to start in this position, you would have to externally rotate more. I don't think you're going to be able to do that. You're going to need to get just a little bit more over the bar before being in the best starting position, which is where you're going to end up when you finally start the pull. However, being in this position from the beginning will allow you to set and load your back in a better position and maintain a little bit more arch. Since you start here, probably you're starting here so that you don't have that pushed over. You're really trying to stay upright, but you're actually trying too hard. Right here is where your start position should be, and I would like to see you initiate the pull from this position. Other than that, the rep looks extremely solid. You mentioned that this was a max, but I mean, this moves really well. Really well. I mean, I don't know how many more reps you could have done with it, but it would seem like a few. So you've got some really good strength starting out, especially considering your frame and your size and everything. You're doing real good. Just work on that starting position and having those shoulders a little bit more over the front of the bar. All right, and our last video for the day, we've got some squats. Let me move that down there. All right. So the biggest thing is that bit of forward motion with the chest and the rising of the hips out of the hole. I think you're descending a little bit faster than you can maintain tightness. Tempo squats, I think especially would be really good for you, especially considering the bar position that you have here for these reps. But basically, you're just getting pushed too far forward out of the hole. So as you enter the hole, you have this really nice torso angle right here, and things look good. But as you exit the hole, you end up with this torso angle, which is much more pushed forward. The reason for this, again, is because you're bracing and maintaining a neutral spine, but you're not keeping your tightness through your hips and your legs. It's why tempo squats would probably be the best thing to help this. But what you need to do is either tempo squats or pause squats, where you make the descent and ascent of the lift look exactly the same as far as your torso angle at various heights. So if you don't look like this when you go down, which would be here, if this is what your torso angle looks like, that's what your rep should look like. I'm playing the descent and then rewinding it back. But that's what your squat should look like. And that's what you should be pushing for with your tempo squats, and also if you do some pause squats. All right, that is Form Assessment Saturday number 4. I hope it was helpful and enjoyable, and I hope that wherever you're at, you're doing well. Blessings.